A belated Independence Day to my friends from off of America. It's only appropriate that this particular episode of Monday Night Wrestling is the night where we see the brand spanking new United States Championship. But it was more than just a star-spangled belt that dealt with the subtleties, the tones and attributes of independence and freedom. We'll talk about it using the Fifth Amendment in the next 10-15 minutes, depending on how long I bang on for. My name is Tom Campbell, and this is Raw Graded. Drew McIntyre opens up Monday Night Raw. He has reminded us that Dolph Ziggler is in charge of picking the stip for their match at Extreme Rules, the horror show Extreme Rules. Get it the right way around, otherwise it ruins the algorithm. Drew mentions he doesn't know what the match is going to be. It could be a match on a cliff edge overlooking a volcano with lasers mounted to sharks, which is either an Austin Powers reference or punting out for a potential cinematic match, one or the other. Dolph comes out. We think he's going to tell us what the match is for Extreme Rules, but no, not tonight. It's staying a secret. And instead tonight, he is bringing somebody out who, like him, was stabbed in the back by Drew McIntyre. And here comes, oh my days, it's only Heath Slater. Slater, who got sacked back in April, back on Monday Night Raw, looking buff. Like, poo-hoo, that boy is beefed up. Not only did he look great, but he sounded great as well. He steps into the ring with Drew McIntyre, talks about how happy he was to see him win the WWE title, how he said that Drew would petition to have a match against him, yet Drew stood there and did nothing when Heath Slater got sacked, didn't even reach out for a phone call. And Heath Slater says he's doing this for his kids. Not the 20 million that we think he's got, but the two beautiful daughters that he has got. And he started getting emotional at this point. And he said, you need to give me what I deserve, which is a fight right now. And Drew doesn't want to fight Heath Slater at all. So Heath encourages him with a slap to the face. Drew says, let's go. After the break, bell sounds. Both men in jeans. We're having a fight right now. As soon as the bell sounds, Dolph Ziggler jumps up to distract Drew McIntyre, so Heath gets a couple of lucky shots in. But moments after this, he eats a claymore for the 1, 2, 3. Done. Drew takes his leave. Dolph Ziggler gets into the ring, starts cutting down verbally Heath Slater, and they end up fighting with Dolph mounting Slater and raining down on punches. Drew comes in to save Heath Slater. And you see a wonderful moment where Slater's just sat there, sort of nodding his head, knowing that his time is up. Drew pulls him up to his feet, puts his hand out and pulls him up. They do the 3MB sign once more time, and then they bow to the crowd. Oh, what a segment. Giving this an A. This is a great way to start Monday Night Raw. It was great to see Heath Slater. He was magic on the microphone, which we've known before. Like, when Heath is given a live mic, he can make such incredible moments, and he's so good on the mic, and Drew and Dolph played their roles perfectly here. This was a nice little caveat to build to their match at Extreme Rules. In terms of why Heath lost so quickly, I've got a hack theory that I want to run by you. How does this sound, right? Heath is teasing July the 18th. We think that Heath is turning up at Slammiversary on Impact Wrestling. And I can't help but feel, because he is still technically on the WWE books, it's a no-compete thing, so he could still technically rock up. So the idea of Heath turning up to get battered very quickly by the WWE champion, is that not a little dig at Impact? If he ends up or whoever he goes next, that's WWE going, yeah, that's Heath Slater. He got beaten by our champion in seconds. That's kind of my hack theory on this. Heath Slater's freedom of the WWE comes at a price. It's just before he goes, same as Matt Hardy when he got beaten up by Randy Orton on his way out. Just a little nod to go, they're not that good, let's beat them up really quickly. But you know what? I'm willing to forgive that because the whole segment was great, and Heath Slater if it was a segment designed to bury him in the eyes of people, it actually did the opposite, because it really galvanized how great he is on the mic, and it showed us all how great he's looking these days. Like, he's looking the part. Big love, Heath Slater. Sasha 3 shows and Bayley 3 brands on their way out. They are in their pomp, talking about Bayley's match against Asuka later tonight, Bayley's match at Extreme Rules against Nikki Cross. They sorted that out on SmackDown, and as Sasha's talking about her match against Asuka at Extreme Rules, out comes Asuka to size these two up. Starts throwing down a challenge to Sasha Banks, does Asuka, and Bayley on Sasha Banks' behalf says, yeah, she's up for everything. She'll fight tonight, no problem. And then Asuka introduces Sasha Banks' opponent for a match right now. It's Kairi Sane. Only Kairi Sane. We didn't think Kairi Sane was sticking around. We thought Kairi Sane was done with WWE. Happy surprise there. So we have an impromptu match between Sasha Banks and Kairi Sane, which I do believe is a first time ever. Or if it's not that, it's a not in a while time ever. Kairi dominates the first part of this match. She is just stretching the life out of Sasha Banks. She wipes out both Banks and Bayley with a baseball slide before they go to break. And then when we come back from break, it's Sasha Banks in control. She's a similar thing, stretching and pulling on Kairi Sane, pulls out a clump of her hair on a surfboard and just continues to wear her down in very heelish manner. Kairi comes back with an axe kick, multiple running blockbusters, and a big old spear for a near fall. Sasha Banks recovers, goes for a meteora off the top rope and misses, and Kairi manages to scoot under Sasha Banks, turns it into the anchor to try and get the submission, but then here comes Bayley for the disqualification at the end of what was a really good match. They end up with everybody just brawling, and Kairi Sane wipes out the Golden Role Models with an insane elbow off the top rope to the outside of the ring to end the segment. This gets an A- from me. This was a great match between these two. I believe a first time ever. Quote me if I am wrong, but beautiful chemistry with these two. Kairi Sane is great, and it would be such a loss if she ends up not sticking around going forward. Sasha Banks has just been on this phenomenal roll. Sasha Banks is doing what Charlotte Flair should have been doing, in my opinion. Sasha Banks is going between all 3 brands and just having great matches and making everybody look great in the process. I don't think Charlotte did that enough. I know I feel like I rag on Charlotte every week at the moment, but I can't help it. Sasha Banks is doing a better Charlotte than Charlotte did. So big points to Sasha Banks. And again, it continues to build to Sasha and Asuka in a really fun, unique way. Brings in a few more characters. I'm for it. It's an A-. Aleister Black's been attacked backstage. There he is, being treated by the medical teams and the referees, and he's wearing a Rey Mysterio mask. And then Seth Rollins walks past, pretending to be upset about it, but he's clearly not. I think he did it, you know. Call me old-fashioned. He's on his way to the ring because he is a guest on the KO show with Kevin Owens. They reflect on their match at WrestleMania. Seth Rollins takes time to call out Rey Mysterio to a match at Extreme Rules. He then turns his attention back to Kevin Owens and asks him, you know, what he's fighting for, you know, with his mantra being fight Owens, fight, always keep fighting. And asks him if he would rather fight for the greater good. The greater good. So trying to recruit Kevin Owens to join his team. Rey Mysterio and Dominic head out now to break up this recruitment drive, and Rey Mysterio accepts the challenge for Extreme Rules that Seth Rollins has thrown down. This ends up, this was meant to be a tag team match now, but Seth has said, oh no, but Aleister Black is mysteriously hurt backstage. So Kevin Owens chimes in and says, hey look Rey, if it's cool with you, how about I be a tag team partner, and the winning team in this match picks the stip for the match that you'll have at Extreme Rules. And just like that, it is on. We are back from break and a match is in progress, and Owens and Rey are teaming up against Murphy and Rollins. Murphy gets quite a shoo-in in this match from everybody involved, and Rollins is constantly avoiding any altercation he can with Rey Mysterio. They're keeping those two very much separated. During the match, Seth Rollins gets in the face of Dominic outside the ring, even gouges his eye, trying to get a DQ rise. out of Rey Mysterio, Dominic and Kevin Owens, but it's just not happening. We see Rollins after the break working over Kevin Owens' ankle. Obviously it was broken around WrestleMania time, so that's the target for Seth Rollins. Owens hits a super kick with the bad ankle, but it just about gives him enough time to tag Rey Mysterio, who just lights the place up. Everybody's running wild. It looks as if that Rey is going to win the match, and then Rollins is out of the ring. He grabs Dominic and looks like he's going to kidnap him, and he's calling for Rey to throw the match. Here comes Aleister Black all of a sudden, who's much better now. He's recovered, he's fine, he's back to full health. But he realises he can't attack Seth Rollins, because if he does, then Rollins wins the match by DQ. So that's going on. The referee gets distracted by Rey Mysterio getting thrown back into the ring by Murphy. And as he's distracted, there's Dominic gouging the eye of Murphy before hoying him back into the ring. He then eats a 619 and a frog splash, and Rey Mysterio and Kevin Owens win the match. And therefore they get to pick the stip between Rey and Rollins at Extreme Rules. Rey doesn't waste any time in announcing what he wants the stipulation to be, and he reveals it's going to be ocho por ocho, an eye for an eye. And he promises that he will gouge Seth Rollins' eye out of his socket. So, I mean, that's a big ask, isn't it? I mean, you should lower your expectation. Maybe I'm going to punch you in the eyebrow, or I'm going to pull your eyelashes out. I think if you're telling people you're going to pull a man's eye out of his socket, I mean, that's a big promise to fulfill. Either way, all we know is the match is going to be an eye for an eye. We don't quite know what that actually means in terms of a stipulation, but I guess we'll find out down the road. This whole segment from the KO show to the tag match, I'm giving a B+2. Love Kevin Owens' work. I enjoyed Kevin Owens giving Seth a commemorative WrestleMania KO Mania 4 shirt. Which was a cute little thing. I love the KO Mania shirts. Kev looked great in this one. Murphy just bounced around for everybody. So Murphy's a great engineer type player who can just be anywhere and everything. Seth continues just to be this creepy evil leader, which I'm a massive fan of. And Rey looked great. First match back after some time on the shelf, and he just looks fresh. There's obviously stories at the moment about whether Rey will stay with WWE. A lot of that up in the air at the moment. He certainly would play a great role as like an elder statesman type character that comes in as and when, because he looked really good here. MVP and Lashley head out to the ring because it's time to unveil the brand new United States Championship. MVP says that Apollo Crews isn't there tonight. Of course, we saw Apollo Crews get attacked by Lashley last week. But MVP, because he pinned Crews last week, he declares himself the #1 contender, and he is challenging for the US title at Extreme Rules. And also because he pinned Apollo Crews, he's pretty much the champion now already, so therefore it falls to him to unveil the championship. So off comes the cloth, and there is the belt. Lots have been said about the new US Championship belt, lots of varying opinions. I quite like it. I do. It's unique. All the belts look a bit different now. And was that not what we wanted a little while ago? We didn't like the fact that all the belts look the same. That doesn't look like any other belt out there. And it's got a nice little homage to the old Winged Eagle belt, which is my favourite one. It's got the bald eagle on there, the old Detective Heart of America. Straight in the centre there, you've got the flags all around there. It's nice, I like it. Lashley declares MVP the United States champion, and he puts the belt on and all this stuff. This brings out Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, and they say that they're going to make the Hurt Business file for Chapter 11. Oh, so we have a tag team match, impromptu. So impromptu this time that MVP is wearing a shirt and trousers. Like, he is formal wear MVP. He is option 3 on N64 No Mercy. No, that would be referee, wouldn't it? He'd be option 4. Pardon me. They have a tag match. Pretty standard form here, as most Lashley and MVP tag matches go. Lashley's dominant. MVP gets most of the licking in this one. And Ricochet gets quite a bit in on everybody here. He kind of comes across as the star. Eventually, Ricochet gets worn down by MVP and Lashley. They take a slow beating onto Ricky, who manages to hit an enziguri out of nowhere and make the tag to Cedi, who gets a little bit of a shine in there, starts fighting back, boom, eats an attack by both MVP and Lashley, and boom, eats a spear in the centre of the ring. 1, 2, 3. After the match, we see Lashley pick up Cedric and put him in the full Nelson again. Ricochet with a missile dropkick breaks it up, and Ricky and Cedric take a powder up the ramp. B- for the MVP US title unveiling and the tag match that followed that. I like the belt. It's nice. I like MVP declaring himself as the champion as well. That's a very old school heely thing to do. Tag match was a bit long in the tooth. I don't buy MVP in formal wear being better than Ricochet and Cedric, which at some points he was. It was fine. See, it'll be a B-. After a meeting of the minds between Orton, Andrade and Angel Garza, in which Orton tells them both to stay out of his way or he's going to beat them up, Orton plays a blinder throughout the next match. Ric Flair's there as well, by the way. We'll talk about Ric Flair in a bit. After that, we get Asuka and Kairi Sane backstage. Asuka's ready to face Bayley later on, and they throw out the challenge next week. Kabuki Warriors versus the Golden Role Models for the women's tag team titles. That should be good. And then we come to our 6-man tag team. It is Big Show and Viking Raiders taking on Randy Orton, Andrade and Angel Garza. Tough night for Garza, this one, who takes a shoo-in from all the good guys to start off with. Andrade gets into the ring at one point and Garza's just berating him. Orton rolls out of the ring and calls Angel Garza over. Garza goes over to him and Orton just grabs him by the throat and slams him against the plexiglass, tells him to get his head from out of his backside, but he says another word for it. And he says, look, I like you. You're a child of the industry like I am, but you've got to get your head in the game. So Randy Orton in this match played this general, played the leader of the team, and you could see it in the tags with Garza. You could tell he was sort of spurring on Garza. There would be a few moments where Garza would come in and do something, you'd see Orton clap, but he was quite despondent at the same time. I really enjoyed this wrinkle to Randy Orton's character. Team Orton, well, mainly Andrade and Garza, they do most of the legwork. Orton just pops in every so often, gets a couple of shots in and tags back out. But they're working over Eric for a big part of this match, and Big Show is fuming on the outside. He's desperate to get a piece of the action. When he finally gets tagged in, he runs wild onto everybody. But then it's Ivar who actually gets the big bit at the end where he starts to wipe people out. But it's also Ivar that is the downfall of the team, because Ivar gets the tag in, he tags immediately out to Eric. They go for the Viking experience, but it's countered and fought out of, and Randy Orton tags himself in, hits the RKO onto Eric and gets the 1-2-3 for his team. Kind of sneaky backdoor victory, but a guy who is playing the wrestling rules like he plays a guitar, I guess. B- for me. It was an okay 6-man tag. Randy Orton, his whole performance bumped the grade up for me. I really like Randy Orton, who he is right now, as obviously when he's the legend killer again, but when he was the legend killer first time round, he was just this arrogant youngster, whereas now he is this, I'm going to use the same phrase I used with Ray, this elder statesman of WWE, and just the way that he batted Angel Garza around to get him back into the fight. Stuff like that I really love. We don't need Ric Flair. I'm going to put it out there now. Ric Flair is an unnecessary accoutrement to the Randy Orton character. I don't get why, during the middle of a pandemic, you are so desperate to shoehorn Ric Flair into this storyline. You don't need Ric Flair for this. Randy neither needs a manager nor a mouthpiece. He's doing both brilliantly. We don't need Ric Flair in this. And I'm happy for Ric Flair to not be a part of this, as much as I love Flair. Ruby and the Iconics are having a little conflab backstage. They've got a match, Billie Kay and Ruby, in a little while. Ruby has been trying to get hold of Liv Morgan for weeks, and it's just not happening, but she says she's focused on her match tonight against Billie Kay. It won't be iconic, it'll be tragic. And then Ruby walks off. And as she walks off, in sort of Monty Python's Flying Circus style, it bleeds into the next segment. So Ruby Riott walks off, and then you've got sat on the training ring MVP and Cedric Alexander, and they go into their conversation, and it's MVP trying to recruit Cedric to join him and Lashley. MVP comes out with a hell of a line here where he says that we're in the hurt business, you're in the catering business, and that is where you're going to be sitting watching everybody else be successful. Picks up his belt and just says bon appetit. Leaves Cedric with a lot to think about. You get the vibe that maybe Cedric might be considering joining the Hurt Business. Great line though. Just, yeah, chef's kiss for a catering line. Orton and Flair are backstage. R-Truth crashes into Randy Orton, so you assume Truth is about to die. But instead, he has a little moment with Ric Flair. He accuses Flair of being Tozawa in disguise. Then Tozawa turns up, so Truth takes a run for it. Orton stops Akira Tozawa and misdirects him, saying, oh, R-Truth went that way. So Orton's looking out for R-Truth there. I don't know whether that will lead to anything. Whether Orton kind of has a bit of sort of respect for R-Truth, I don't know. We'll see. Ruby Riott faces Billie Kay now. Riott starts strong, but Kay shuts her down very quick with a big boot. Just as Ruby Riott gets back into the game, Peyton Royce distracts her from outside the ring, and it leads to seeing an eat defeat from Billie Kay, and then like a sit outside slam, like a new finish for Billie Kay, I think, for the 1, 2, 3. Giving this a C, rinse repeat last week, in which it's one of the Iconics versus Ruby Riott. Riott gets back into it. The Iconic on the outside of the ring distracts, and the other Iconic hits a shiny new finisher and wins. So it's a C, same as last week. I see where they're going with this. Morgan maybe coming back to team with Ruby Riott to take out the Iconics. Kind of see where this is going, but I'm all right with it. So we come to main event o'clock. It is Bayley versus Asuka, champion versus champion. Neither belt are on the line, just a whole lot of pride. It's been quite the week where two beautiful Scottish voices have returned to wrestling programming. We had Jen on the tiered list over the weekend, and now we have Nikki Cross on Raw commentary. Get in! Security try and remove Nikki from the commentary table, but the commentators assure her that she's with them, that she's a +1. But she's there scouting Bayley, who she's facing at Extreme Rules, and there's animosity, just you could just see it in the air around Bayley. She's furious. She's desperate to get her hands on Bayley in this one, and she nearly does early on. So the match gets underway, and about 5, 6, 7 minutes into it, we see Bayley slide out of the ring and swat the headphones off of the head of Nikki Cross, and Nikki's had enough. Nikki goes for Bayley. Here come the security again, and they end up picking up Nikki Cross and hauling her out of the Performance Center. She's done for the night. Then Asuka takes this moment to get back into the fight. When we come back from break, though, Bayley's back in control. The advantage in this one just keeps on shifting, and I really love the pace these guys go at. Really intense side of Bayley here. Now, I don't watch every single week of SmackDown. That's down to the gorgeous Sam Driver and his silver hair of dreams. That's his job to do that. So I miss some of the development of Bayley, but in singles action, really intense stuff here. Like the bit where she did the running knee to Asuka when her head was in the barricade, walked around the ring and just forearmed Kairi Sane to the ground. Just stuff like that was great. That forearm led to a moment in the ring where we saw the referee stopping Kairi Sane from getting in to give her a receipt, and then Sasha Banks jumps onto the apron and attacks Asuka, helping Bayley almost get the pinfall on her. We see Sasha and Bayley playing silly buggers outside the ring. Sasha goes to get Bayley some water, and Bayley's having a drink of water. Then, as she's kicking back on the apron, she sees Nikki. Nikki's back, and she's banging on the plexiglass like a wild woman, smiling like a maniac. This distracts Bayley long enough to get caught in the Asuka lock from Asuka, and Asuka's got it tightly in. Bayley tries for the same counter that Sasha used last week, the one that got Sasha the cheeky win. But this time, Asuka kicks out of 2, puts the Asuka lock back in. Bayley manages to just about squirm out of it. We see Sasha getting into the ring to try and break it. But then Kairi Sane hits the ring, spears Sasha out of her boots to take her out of the action. We see Bayley try and go for a quick roll up onto Asuka, but Asuka sits down on it, and Asuka gets the 1, 2, 3 on Bayley to end the match. And we end Raw with Bayley and Banks just despondent at ringside, with Asuka and Kairi Sane celebrating. And we have ourselves a tag title match next week. And I'm in one for it. Before we get to next week, this was an A. This was great. This was a phenomenal main event. Loved lots about this. I really am enjoying the depth of the women's division right now across all the brands, and how the stories are intertwining. I'm really enjoying it. There's so much going on. And Bayley and Banks have just been a revelation. They've always been great, but I feel like this is the highlight of them. This is some of the best stuff they've done over the last couple of years. They've just been absolute standouts on every single show they've been on. And Bayley was great here. Asuka was great here. Nice to see Asuka get a win. I was getting a little bit worried about Asuka for a little while. This was a solid Raw main event. This had to be the main event, and I'm really proud that it was. It was brilliant. Overall this week, my opinion, and it is just my opinion. You know, it's not set in stone. You'll have your opinion, but I genuinely think this was a great episode of Raw, and I'm giving it an A-. There was lots in ring to enjoy. There was a lot of freedom to the in-ring performances here, not just in terms of time, because a couple of weeks ago we had it so matches were like 2 or 3 minutes. Now they've got the freedom to go much longer in these matches, but also bring out a little bit more personality and be a little bit more creative with what they're doing. Like, I feel that freedom shines through, and no better time to talk about freedom than just after American Independence Day, as we head towards Extreme Rules, the horror show. Sorry, the horror show at Extreme Rules. Let's not upset the algorithm. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.